Alright, changed my mind, as cute as it is. The line to get a beer is gotta be like at least 20 people long, and I don't really like getting that close. Even though where people have their drinks is pretty socially distant. Yeah, all the tables are pretty separate from each other, and I could have just stood off to the side, but yeah, not feeling the long lines in a tourist town. I'm even softening up my views on that, on whether or not to feel upset that tourism is still happening. Oh, it's so cute to see U.S. Post Office, Sister Bay, Wisconsin. I just really like my sister. She's my best friend. Well, I actually have 2 best friends now, so I'm incredibly lucky. My sister and my boyfriend. They're my 2 best friends. We've been together so long that sometimes boyfriend doesn't feel like a weighty enough term, so I always, if you ever hear a hesitance in my voice, that's what it is. I've tried other words like significant other, but it just doesn't quite do it. Anyway, aw, cute post office. Construction tape dancing in the wind. Oh, cute puppers. It looks like a, it was like white and gray, like a labradoodle, but somehow white and gray. Oh yeah, I was gonna look at the wild tomato and walk past that. Anyway, just YouTubing in public. What's new? Oh yeah, what I was saying is Sister Ray. Yeah, so I'm really lucky. I have a sister and a boyfriend / substantial partner of 6.5 years. Significant other. Practically my family, if not fully my family. But there's no word for that unless you get married, so. And I'm a patient woman. We've had a lot of things in our lives that have been incredible with the band, with him doing a recording studio internship, with all of our albums and challenges and stuff like that. So it really just hasn't been the focus because we're happy as we are. We've lived together a little over 4 years, and we signed a funny made-up piece of paper because we graduated from living together school. Because it's been 4 years. Yeah. This is a cute little shop. So, Life Happens Beer House. Wow. Looks like a PBR sweatshirt. Wow. Well, anyway, this is the place I wanted to walk past. Wild Tomato. Steph said they have really good. Was it pizza? Yeah, I think it was pizza. Alright, well, thanks, Sister Ray. Cute little meandering downtown. I don't know how many, like, it's probably a lot smaller than Grand Haven, like insanely smaller than Grand Haven, which is hard for me to understand when I'm in a tourist town. I just assume it's like Grand Haven. But this is definitely not, because that's like tens and tens and tens of thousands, and this is like less than 1,000 people big. Anyway. A little park. Okay, I'm going to cross the street and check that out. And there's a little protest here. End racism, show you care. I'm a grandma who wants justice and equality. Honk if you want justice. That's cute. Well, I'm gonna cross the street. I don't know. I know my views seem complicated lately. I think I'm just frustrated with all the tension in our country right now, on the whole. Okay, I do need to go see this puppy. Thumbs up, black woman holding a sign. Puppy. Yeah. obviously my heart is still with the Black Lives Matter people. I just struggle because my views are just not as extreme as some people's are. In terms of what specific changes need to happen. Also, honestly, a lot of the reason my views are not as strong as some people's, like abolishing police or something, is because I have learned through the past few years that I'm kind of not very smart when it comes to social order, social justice. Like, a lot of things not only go over my head, but I can't stop seeing the hypocrisies and complexities and the nuances that make it so a lot of things are very hard to figure out. And people tend to not have patience for me in how I won't simplify certain ideas and ideals. I like to keep discussing the nuances. And sometimes when someone like me gets involved, you realize that if you discuss both sides equally, you will literally spend your whole life just discussing nuances and you won't ever make any change or inspire any action, or because you question whether every action is wrong. But then that means the land I'm standing on should have never been altered by all of this, and it means that no progress should have ever been made, because every bit of progress that's ever occurred is a choice that skews a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right in terms of not necessarily politics, but in terms of viewpoints and wants and needs and desires. And like, you literally can't respect all viewpoints because viewpoints conflict. So you literally can't say this person lives this way and this person lives this way if this person's way of living requires this person not to live that way in the same area that they're living. Like, then you're not respecting both viewpoints. You can't. If this side says respect all viewpoints, but not these viewpoints, and listen, and if this side says listen to all people's viewpoints and really take them into consideration when you're deciding and determining the whole, but not these viewpoints, like these ones are wrong, like, then you're not actually doing the thing that you're saying you believe in and want to do. And I think the reason they're saying, and I understand, like, obviously not like Nazis, for instance, that's over here, and you would be like, no, well, don't listen to Nazis, or like abusers or child molesters or rapists. Like, you'd be like, respect and listen to all viewpoints, but not toxic ones. But then who decides what's toxic? Who decides where that line is? Who decides which people get to have a say in this collective and which people are being ousted from the collective? And then you're not really the thing you say you are. Then you're just as much this as they were this. You want to believe that you're this inclusive thing that listens to all, but if you're becoming the thing, if you're becoming the decider of which person is falling into a category that doesn't get to have a say. Like, what if I was a white woman who hadn't endured tons of trauma? If I was just a regular old white woman who had been raised with some privilege, I'd probably be shoved aside more because of my trauma and a lot of things that I've lived through. And just explorations a little bit with sexuality. I don't want to talk about that, but like, I mean, that's just very personal and sacred to me, like all the things that I've lived through. And so I fall over here in this, like, hey, I'm obviously a variety flower. I'm one of the weird ones. I'm one of the not as privileged. I'm one of the disadvantaged. I'm one of the more poor because of some of my choices and because of some of my disadvantages because of things that had happened to me. But it's like, clearly I get to be in this club. But I do have my white person privilege, and that's kind of, and so at what point do we, I guess I just wonder sometimes if this is clearly some sort of thing that doesn't get to have as much of a voice. And I'm talking like, first obvious things, obviously terrible people, but then what if you go one step over, like people who support Trump but aren't like overtly terrible people? Well, now those people are being told that because they support Trump, they're supporting a rapist, and then if you supported the rapist, then that's as bad as being one. Like, we're taking all the people that have these views and we're shrinking it down until this side is becoming the decider, the judge and jury of who's allowed point in the hole. And when would that stop? Now, if you have white skin at all, you're out of the conversation. Probably. That might end up happening. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not saying I'm afraid of it. I'm just saying I could see a reality in which that happens. It's like a pendulum swinging, or energy poles flipping. I don't know. And maybe white people have gotten to have too much privilege and aren't in touch with certain things. And so if that flips, that flips. I'm not going to live my life afraid of that, because I think some people's fear of it is it's causing them to cling to certain types of nationalism that is bordering on toxic, which is what this is trying to say. Let's listen to all, but just not that. And I guess what I'm wondering is, how can you find any reconciliation in these two approaches if you don't look at those nuances, and you don't look at the hypocrisies, and you don't look at the way that whenever you choose to attack, you accidentally become the thing that you're against. Like all sides. Like this side too. If you choose to attack, you become the thing you're against. Maybe it's hidden. But I don't think any human beings are off the hook from nuance, from complexity. So I guess the last thing I just want to say is, if you're on a side that believes in peace and love for all, or if you're on a side that believes in we need to listen to all people, which isn't what Black Lives Matter is saying, right? It's just what I've seen in the liberal side of things and the progressive side of things leading up to this moment in history. I saw a really strong love of, like, say in like a kids camp, we got to make sure we listen to every kid. But then sometimes that makes it so you can't get any activities done, because everybody's being hurt by somebody all the time, and so the whole camp is spent noticing that we're all constantly offending each other, and all we end up doing is talking about how we're offending each other. And then people who have no mental health training are trying to reconcile these conversations, and it's like mediation at that level is like, I just wonder if that leads anywhere, or if that's the snake eating its own tail. So I don't want to get moralistic or anything, but like, all I'm trying to say is we're all choosing something every day, and if you're choosing this inclusive side, then I would say just pay attention, because I've chosen the inclusive side because I've been such a misfit most of my life. So if you're choosing the inclusive side, just watch for the areas where you're not inclusive, because if you're like me and you're like anyone else, we're all constantly deciding who's part of that other side and blocking it out. Like, I did it with all white or all straight men for a long time. I wouldn't go into any support groups where there were straight men. I would go to gay support groups and while dating while like being straight. So, because I didn't want to be around straight men, because I didn't want to be hit on. Now my solution is like putting on weight, because I can feel that if I change my body, and that's too far. I want to be healthy, and I want to live a long life, and I'm not trying to destroy my body. It's just sort of happens because I like snacking. But also, I just, whatever. It's really hard. It's, I just got looked at by a 70-year-old man. I'm wearing short shorts, and I don't really know his age. But, probably YouTube randomly in a field in Sister Bay, which is a tourist place, not a place where people come and rant on a video on their phone. But there you go. Those are some feelings, and they're very complicated, and I understand that they're complicated, and I don't have any answers. I'm just saying this is why I backed slowly and gently out of politics, even though both sides, well, mainly my pals, my liberal side, were yelling like, you can't get out of politics. You can't. And I understand that that is privilege, that my skin makes it so I can be apolitical, but I've also seen all these years leading up to this moment in history, many black people staying out of politics. So, like, you are allowed to stay out of politics. You are. And this new, loud, outspoken voice that's coming to the front reminds me of my years of trying to fight Trump and everything up, and it is not what I believe in personally, but I had to go through that in order to feel that way. So I'm not telling anybody to stop raging at the machine if that's what they feel called to do. I just don't rage at the machine anymore, and I will defend that to the death. But I'd rather not defend it. I just saw a whole little, like a Black Lives Matter protest, and I just felt kind of sad and overwhelmed because I don't know that it does anything. I don't know that those people standing out there, even with a sign that says, and I'm not an anarchist, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was like a grandma who just believes in peace and justice, and her sign said, I'm not an anarchist, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like she's clearly frustrated. And I don't know if that sign is going to change the minds of one of the, like, 150 Trump supporters that I've seen signs in their yards. It's like, does that change minds? Or does that just, like, bring into the light how different we all are? That's what I think it's doing. And I have to leave that up to God. And maybe that's where my views get confusing. But I'm very into God and Holy Spirit, and I need to be, because I cannot solve any of these problems. And when I'm focused on just me, little me, like holding a sign, I feel so small that I feel like I could be crushed like a bug and my whole life would be pointless. And I can't feel that way. I need to feel like God has a plan, and like God is using what's going on in the world to bring things to light that are needed to be brought to light. Maybe even on both sides. Because those thoughts that I had about rich people previously being the people who colonized and killed people, I had never had those thoughts before. Like, are they just letting us live, but normally they would have enslaved us? Like, I don't know. Is that what a Trump sign means? Freedom to just get rich and live your life and ignore everybody else's thoughts and feelings? Maybe. Alright, I'm gonna go. That was dark. Bye.